Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week as we explore places to go and things to do. Today I'm kind of making an appeal, a mass appeal, because that's the name of the show Fleetwood Stage has done a beautiful job on. And the reason it's done such a beautiful job is because it's a two-actor show, and the two actors are absolutely superb. And they're both here today to talk about mass appeal, working together, and also about the theater. My guests today are Talmadge Lowe, who plays the younger man, and Paul Barry, who is the older priest in the show.
I beg your pardon.
You may.
Yes, I'm playing the younger priest, and he's playing the older priest.
The makeup does wonders for you, Paul. I see this is going to be one of those shows. Right?
Try rehearsing with him.
I am delighted to start this by looking at the page 1 of the Gannett newspaper, which has a picture of the two of you and says, "Mass Appeal, a classic, restaged and worth seeing." And inside, on the first page of the lifestyle section, a wonderful review saying such things. And I think this is very, very interesting about what you're doing together. The secret is the symbiosis between the two actors. How you two work together is, I found, remarkable when I saw it. And theirs is a superb ensemble performance. How do you do that together? How do you work together? You come to this role from 50 years experience, Paul, at the beginning of your career right now. Mm-hmm. How does it work together? How do you blend all of these things, and which results in such a wonderful review? What's the secret?
I have no idea. I have no idea what the secret is.
This is going to be a long program.
The only thing I can say is that I came to it with my process as an actor, and with the ultimate faith in Bill Davis's play, and the faith in Paul, and the faith in our director that it was going to work no matter how crazy things got. And so I have no...
You have no idea of why?
No, I don't.
How about Paul?
I think despite his best efforts, we came up with a good show.
Is it always like that when you're acting? You work with different people, different venues, you work comedy. This is a serious comedy, has a serious theme, but full of laughs. Does it always work that way to actors?
No, sometimes it's a disaster.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you rely on is the fact that it's going to happen. It's your responsibility. It's your job. It's your profession. And you stick with it until it's done. But there are some closing nights when you jump up and say, "Thank God, where's my car? Let me get out of here."
So many actors have said to me, we're talking about an exuberance that comes through at a show, and they say, it's such a great company, mm-hmm. and it manifests itself on the stage. Mm-hmm. I think what you're saying is that helps an awful lot, doesn't it? The people that you're working with.
It's a good actor.
Well, there's a basis of respect, I think, that not only is in the play, but has become a foundation for mine and Paul's relationship. And believe me, we come from two very different theatrical backgrounds, and I would say our techniques are very different. But I think that all serves the play and serves our energies on stage together. I mean, you can do a play with someone who you just is your best friend in the world, and it can just be a disaster. And you can do a play with someone that you just can't stand, and the chemistry can be wonderful.
Now, it's an interesting point that you make there. You come from different backgrounds, so your techniques are different. You come to the craft differently. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Yes.
Can you explain that? Could you verbalize a little bit of that?
Well, I can't speak for Paul, but I come from a I trained at Circle in the Square actor training program, and that's very much based on the old Actors Studio, which was goes from Lee Strasberg back to Stanislavski. All of those methods, very serious exploration of the emotional content of the characters and of the play, and it's also a anything goes rehearsal process. And so that was how I came at it, and knowing ultimately that I have to say the words that Bill Davis wrote and have to do certain pieces of blocking that help illuminate the story, but do whatever is necessary to live the role.
And Paul, Actors Studio, of course, is certainly with the TV program they've been doing, where people are interviewed and explore their background. It's just been a wonderful show on Bravo. It talks about the very techniques you're talking about. You don't come from that perspective. You've been in the theater a long time.
Well, I do, but it was so long ago that that I actually went into a room with teachers and other students and said, we are now going to study acting, that I have forgotten most of what I began with. And when I find a director who wants to do acting exercises, that doesn't make me angry, but it fatigues me. It actually debilitates me. Because I've been doing the thing for so long that my technique, if you will, my craft, if you will, is something that is so built into my genes now that I just go in and do it.
Tal made a point, and he said, you got to work within the words of the playwright. You work within the words of this playwright because you have done this role before.
Well, that's not the essential thing that I bring to this. I mean, I have done in my lifetime all of the plays of Shakespeare, and I've done over 100 productions as an actor and as a director. And I learned long ago to respect all of the words and to let the words carry me through. So in this play, I'm listening to what the playwright is telling the character to say, and while I'm saying the words, I'm listening to the words, and eventually something is assimilated, and I don't become the character, because I think that's nonsense, and actors love to say that, but what you get, you start out with the fictional concept, the literary concept, if you will, of the character. And that tells you everything that the playwright wants to tell us about this.
But aren't you saying the same thing, basically? You say you don't become the character. In certainly Actors Studio approach, you live, you become the person. Is there a conflict between the two of you? You come from different perspectives.
No, it's the third thing.
We drive on different roads to come to the same city. Each way is scenic and is direct in its own way, but it's just two different roads. You know, I feel like the main difference, I think, is our rehearsal technique. Really, I think our performance technique is essentially to trust what we've learned, what we know, and to trust the text and to trust each other. But our rehearsal technique, is the way we get there is what.
So how do you get there differently? What's your technique?
Well, as Paul says, he trusts that it's
really.
Oh, I'm not going to tell him everything. I have to keep some secrets. But as Paul says, it's in his genes. I'm not certain that I don't have that overriding faith that I will know what to do, what to feel, how to feel, when to do. So my technique comes from it's sort of a deconstructionist view of it. I take apart the play, and then I put myself into the parts of it. And sometimes that requires me to do the kind of rehearsal technique, rehearsal exercises, physical or emotional exercises that help me put myself into the little pieces that I've taken down. And then I rebuild the pieces with myself in each piece, and then I begin to to run it, and things begin to connect together. And then once I've got Paul and I out there together with nobody else, no directors, no nothing, just an audience and the lights, and I hope at that point it becomes a whole person, a full.
And you're coming from a different perspective.
Well, I'm fascinated to hear this because I've never heard this before, because we've never talked about it before. We go into, we never met before the final audition of the play, which is the callbacks, and the director called back 3 people for each role, and then made a decision very quickly afterwards, and then we had about, what did we have, 10 days, 2 weeks to work on it by ourselves, and then we showed up and we started to work. So I didn't walk in and say, how do you work?
Right.
So that I can fit myself into it, nor did I say, this is how I work, stay out of my way.
Right.
It was, we just went in and started stumbling around and not bumping into the furniture.
Is it a daunting experience coming together with an actor who you've never met before, don't know how they work, and wondering how you're going to work together first time?
That's wonderful.
No. That's
what
every show I've ever been on is like that. Except when I've done like plays with my friends, we all studied together, we all know. But that can be more difficult than working with someone whose technique you don't know, because then everyone's technique is bumping into each other else, you know. And when you have someone you don't know, the general rule of thumb is just respect their space, let them do what they need to do, and you do what you need to do.
Do things change? The director, of course, you come to it, you've done your own preparation, then you come together with the director. Does the director change a lot of what you have preconceived you're going to do? Is the stage a director's medium as the movies are?
No, it isn't. I think the best thing that a director does is facilitate the play, to make sure that we have a rehearsal hall that's quiet, that people are not interfering with us, that people are not stealing rehearsal time away from us collectively, and to sit and listen to how the actors respond to the text and how the text responds to the actors and how the things build. And then occasionally it's like a mid-course correction, you know. The director will say, well, let's just take this 6 points a beam because it's not quite true yet. Let's do that. And that's how good directors work.
I was so sensitive to the timing between you that pauses were eloquent. There are things that take place that let you think and maybe even wonder what's going on in the person's mind. Does the director give that to you, or is that something that evolves during the rehearsal process?
Both.
From your own?
Both, yeah.
And the staging itself, the blocking as they call it, who moves where and how they move that?
Yeah, a good play moves itself, especially with 2 people.
Right.
You know, I mean, the thing that we call blocking. I think you're in trouble with a director when you walk in the very first day and everybody's got a script in hand and the director says, okay, we're going to start moving it now. You just go here, you go here. And I say, I'm in trouble. Because we don't know why we're moving. We're getting movement thrown at us. And we know it's going to change. We know within a week it's all going to be gone, and this seems to me to be a big waste of time.
I do want to get into another subject with you, but first I do want to remind our viewers that we're talking about Mass Appeal, which Fleetwood Stage has done a magnificent job in New Rochelle. They have a wonderful program this year. The next production is going to be Intimate Exchanges, the Alan Ayckbourn show, which opens April 30th and runs through May 17th. Mass Appeal, a real smash, real wonderful job. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. And my 2 guests today are Paul Barry, who plays the older priest, and Talmadge Lowe, who is the young man who's rebellious and changes the older priest's perspective. I did start the program by saying that there was an excellent review in the Gannett papers by Jacques Lessourde. How does it feel when you pick up the paper in the morning after your opening and you see a rave review or a terrible review?
I don't pick up the paper. I don't read reviews. I don't seek after the reviews until the play closes. And occasionally, after the play closes, there is something that will inform me about the next production of this play. But that very, very seldom happens. And the worst thing that can happen is to read a review while the play is running and be told by the reviewer something that you weren't aware of, either something you're doing that the reviewer says is wonderful, but you say, I wasn't aware of that, I'm just doing it, or the opposite of saying something you should have been doing more of.
You feel the same way?
Yeah, I have a very strict policy with reviews. I'm very sensitive to it, and I feel. Well, I'll tell you, I when I was first doing plays, I read reviews and I was not sensitive to them at all, and I enjoyed reading them. If they were good reviews, I felt comfort. If they were bad reviews, I laughed it off. But a couple of years ago, I did a production of Our Town, which was really my first professional show. It was very meaningful. It was a wonderful production, and I played George Gibbs, and I had worked very hard. I had really dedicated myself to this production, and I thought I can read the review, and so I did. And it was a very good review, and they mentioned one thing about my character that said, maybe he's a little bit too awkward. And it's not much of a slight, but it hurt me because it hurt me, and I didn't want to subject myself to their opinions about my performance.
Talbot, Paul is saying that he doesn't read a review until after it closes. You don't read a review even then, do you?
If the theater gives me a press pack, or if someone has clipped all of them and saved them for me, I will peruse them. I don't seek it out. I think that reviews are, I'm not sure what function they serve. I think a reviewer should ultimately be like a kindly college professor who says, this is good, but let me show you how to make it a little better.
Of course, the reviewers, and I've had this discussion many times, as a matter of fact, Jacques Lassorde, the critic for the Gannett Papers, was on this program. We discussed this subject. Since you get two reviewers see the same play at the same time, and they come up with completely opposite viewpoints. One will love it, and one will hate it. It happens all the time because it is a very personal perspective.
Yes, absolutely.
I find it interesting that people don't say, well, Jacques Lassorde gave it a wonderful review, or Ben Brantley gave it a wonderful review. They'll say the Times did, or Gannett did, because the medium is the message, certainly, in the case of that, and not the person. And so people attribute an awful lot of power to the publication.
They do, and people will believe what they read, which is unfortunate. And I think it's irresponsible of reviewers to say, this is bad, don't see it.
But they do it.
They do, and it's irresponsible. They should say, this fails on certain levels and this is blah, blah, blah. But it's your choice to see it, not stay away, close the show, take the people's jobs away from them. It's negative, and it's hurting the theater. And
I agree with you completely.
It's irresponsible.
You can't argue with me on that subject.
Good.
The show has a fairly short run. What happens? Are you constantly auditioning? I suppose that's what the theater's all about. Rue McClanahan said on this program that it's the only business or profession where you're looking for a job, and he's just successful 9 times a year. I mean, maybe 90 times a year with some people.
I think we spend too much time looking for work. We spend too much money looking for work. And unfortunately, I don't think that there is a substitute for it. I've been in show business for 50 years. And I'm always looking for work. And sometimes it's demeaning. Sometimes it's downright insulting. Many times it's a big waste of time, and you go to a lot of effort. I mean, someone will say, get in your car and drive down here to Wilmington, Delaware, and audition for the play.
Yes.
And I'll say, sure, I will.
Sure.
And but halfway back from Wilmington, Delaware, I say, I didn't get that job. I don't know why I didn't get that job, but I'm not going to get it. So I just better turn it off and go on with my life.
Yeah. I, a few weeks ago, interviewed Chris Gronenwald, who just closed after a year and a half, and a funny thing happened on the way to the farm. He's done massive shows. He was the Phantom. He was the third Phantom to play it on Broadway. He's working all the time. He's done a lot of shows. Isn't it interesting? The day after I closed on Broadway, and a funny thing happened on the way to the farm. I was up here in Westchester auditioning for a show at the Westchester Broadway Theater, which he didn't get, by the way. And so here you are. It never stops.
No,
No.
it doesn't.
And it's a fickle business, here today, gone tomorrow. But I think that ultimately, what one must strive for is personal satisfaction in the work. I'm not saying that you get a play and you say, I've done it. You get a play and you say, I've done almost everything I can do for this play. And so then if you've got another year without work, which, knock wood, but if you do that, you can look back and say, I worked hard. And that's it's not going to keep you warm every cold night, but it's something.
But you're show business family because your wife is very active in the theater.
My wife is a very talented,
working all
wonderfully
the
gifted
time.
actress.
And of course, you've got an added plus, and I was delighted when I saw Mass Appeal that your parents had flown up from Florida
I have
to
a
see
great
you
support group.
enjoy, and that's a wonderful part of it. Family support, friend support. Artists tell me that they do work, whatever they do, for themselves, and whether people are like it or don't like it is not as important as they're liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's why maybe so many artists starve.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that I agree with that. I think that I know friends who have studied with Grotowski who have spent a year in the woods of Italy doing one show that no one ever sees, and I think that's really wonderful for yourself. But if you're art, I don't buy art for art's sake. I think that if you are experiencing something that wonderful, it's your duty to share it with the world. And so ultimately I feel that no matter what I do, no matter how many pieces I tear myself into for a play and put back together, that it's for someone to hopefully be moved, touched,
Audiences
learn.
are so important to you, aren't
Yes.
they? One audience, one night can alter your performance from one night to the next, depending on what they do.
That's why we do it. I mean, I think the business of saying pleasing yourself, if I am pleasing myself, I'm pleasing the audience. If I'm pleasing the audience, I'm pleasing myself. I really can't say I'm going to go out there and give a selfish performance and they're going to love it, because that doesn't work. And the best thing that we've got going for us in this play, I think, is the fact that we're constantly giving the play back to each other.
Yes.
To each other.
Yes. Yes.
What do you mean by that, Paul?
Well, I mean, if it's his moment, I'm not going to do a tap dance. If it's his moment, there's no flaming batons coming from me. I'll turn my back to the audience and let them watch what he's doing. Now, that's a simple example of the technique, but it still comes down to giving the play to the other person. If you do Romeo and Juliet, that's the only piece of direction that the director has to give. That's it. Give it to the other actor. What do you mean the other actor? Give it, if you're playing Romeo, give it to Juliet. If you're playing Juliet, give it to Romeo. That's it. And many times they'll say, I don't know what you mean by giving the play. And I said, listen to what they're doing and allow the thing to happen.
Timing, though, is so important. And you say giving them the opportunity, but also giving them enough time to do it.
Well, the audience is the third character in this play. Or the audience is the next 100 characters in the play. And if they laugh, or if they talk, or they shuffle, or they cough, or all of those things, that's part of our performance. And so the timing comes off of the laughter.
Oh, by the way, talking about coughing,
Yes.
there is a funny bit in this about you can tell when the audience is bored by the cough. I had a cough while I was watching it, and I was afraid to. I mean, I almost choked.
We should always go to the theater with cough drops.
Doesn't do me any good. I think that the theater turns on my cough mechanism.
Does it really?
Sometimes during this show, too, so it's
I'm
not
sorry
unusual
to
to
hear
that. Well, you let me know when you're playing, and I'll come and cough during your show.
Okay, good. If I know you're there, I'll cough back at it.
One of the things that I want to be sure to do is to give the telephone number that people can call to find out more information about what Fleetwood Stage is doing, and that number is 914-654-8533. So we'll put that up in the closing credits, and you don't know where tomorrow goes. That's the part about the auditioning and knowing where it goes. Betty Comden, when I interviewed her, said even at this stage in her life, they're always working on another show, even when one is currently being in the rehearsal, always working on the next one, because you can't wait until this one is finished before you wait on the next one.
No.
And that's what show business is all about.
But that's
what the
also
theater-
dangerous. I think it's necessary for us to say this is the most important thing we're doing, and you can get distracted by the next job coming up. I haven't had I had an audition yesterday, but it was a very easy audition. But I have not gone to auditions on a regular basis in the last 4 weeks because I have to do this show.
I feel, I'm sure this will be very surprising to you, Paul, but I feel that if I could go on 2-3 auditions every day,
You would do it.
I would do it.
One of the things that we can't do is go on beyond the time of the show. And believe it or not, we've run out of time. And I thank you both so much for coming. It's been enlightening to talk to you about the craft and the theater and how you work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've been talking today about Mass Appeal at Fleetwood Stage. Wonderful 2 actors who've done a great job. I'm so glad that we're here with them today. I'm Norman Liss. The name of this program is The Way to Go. And until next week at this time, enjoy yourself.